All right, folks, let's actually call the conversations to a close. You've got your recorders that are identifying who's going to speak. Reporters. Okay, who's ready to go? Okay, Mark, I got this in. Am I not on?
You're good. Just leaving the mic up there.
Thank you. All right. Come on, guys. Right here. I've got a microphone here. All right. Hello? Who's going? All right. I think you're on. Do you want to stand up and show? There we go.
That would be lovely. Thank you. Okay, so for our first question, we had what supports do we have? So we have, and for some of us, layers of support with regional teams, corporate level consultants. There's also the RNAO's chief executive monthly telephone calls. There are community partners, for example, the Alzheimer's Society, dementia networks, etc., that might be available. There's also a multitude of online resources and community education that's available, as well as the geriatric outreach programs. And I apologize, I can't quite read this one. Tools. Oh, yes, thank you. And tools offered to us by the Residents First program. Minute and a half. What works well to grow nursing leaders in long-term care? So we talked about leadership opportunities and fellowships that are available, for example, through the RNAO and their leadership and fellowship programs that look at having formal mentoring and succession planning. There is also support and weekly or monthly meetings in some areas where local long-term care leaders get together to discuss problems, questions, queries, for example. There's also... I'm sorry, I'm going to stand over here so you can help me out, but I have partnerships.
Educational partnerships like with local colleges?
So educational partnerships with local colleges and universities, and new grad guarantee programs that are available through Health Force Ontario that allow new nurse graduates to do 6-month extended orientation so that they can gain that leadership. Right, and the other piece is then there's a lack of, or we feel that potentially there's a lack of awareness of the programs that are currently available, and therefore not actually participating in all these wonderful opportunities that do exist, as well as ensuring that we're positive role models in our day-to-day practice. What resonates with you from the presentations by Nadana and the RNAO? The strength that could exist with the DOC voice, and that we can certainly make change, that we can collaborate and we can implement or affect change at a large scale, more than just ourselves. And if we don't speak up, someone else will do it for us. What would be some concrete next steps to increase the support of the nursing leaders in long-term care? So certainly we identified that it warrants further conversations. So while this is a great opportunity and a great start, we're certainly not going to resolve the problems today, and we need to continue and stay the course. We need to be able to identify concrete issues and consistent responses. Additionally, we need strategic linkages and partnerships. We also talked about other professions that are actually working towards the same thing. So yesterday in one of our panel conversations, the physicians group talked about actually developing that certification for themselves. And a lot of the times, they're actually trying to achieve many of the same things that we're doing with overlapping themes. And we should be tagging on to these initiatives that are happening, as opposed to separately working towards those same goals, so that we're not behind on what's actually going on. So let's take advantage of what's happening and make something bigger out of it.
Great job. Who wants to try and follow that? Top that. Shall we add on key points so that you can read your whole list, or add on? Add on. Great job. Can I have the notes?
Okay, for what...
They will come back to you in some letters. So.
Okay, for what supports do you currently have? We have our corporate policies and procedures, and that was pretty much everyone that sat here with us. Also, the facilitators operating group, it's executive directors, administrators who attend these, but in some cases, directors of care do attend those meetings as well. We have regional director of care meetings that were brought up here, and that's a support, and feedback from sister homes, what they're doing and what we can do to, enhance what we're doing, and using RNAO best practice guidelines. What works well to grow nurse leaders in long-term care? Well, we looked at, we really need the manager's support and provide educational opportunities within the organization. So basically, instead of the top-down approach, directing them that, we've given you what you needed, you should be able to do your job, we should be listening to them. We gave you what we feel you need in your resources. Are you able to do it? What more do you need? And trying to advocate for them so that they can be successful in their role that they're in. And if they're, want to do more, that we should offer more opportunities so that they can grow. And that's how we keep them in our organization, and we can grow them up to possibly a director of care role in which they may apply for rather than get nominated for. And we have the nursing graduate role and mentorship and education program, which I just talked about. What resonates with you from the presentations by the NADANA and the RNAO? Well, they do have certification processes in place for leadership positions in long-term care. And they also have so much complex needs, is what we saw in that presentation, and we just couldn't even fathom taking on some of those needs in the long-term care homes with resources that we have at this time with the clientele that we have. And last but not least, what would be some concrete next steps to increase your support for nurse leaders in long-term care? Again, some of us thought certification in leadership roles in long-term care wouldn't be a bad idea, and it might actually empower us to become more effective in our role, and of course increase funding to access more resources.
Good job. Thank you, Charmaine. Can I take those notes? We're going to summarize those. Good job. What group is next here? There we go. Thank you.
We spent a bunch of time really talking about the role itself and what supports do you currently have. We were focused on the role so what supports do you have so you get a weekend off, or what supports do you have in your home so that you can go on vacation. So we really talked about, how building the entire management team to support the role of director of care. They don't have to do all of the mandatory training. They can be supported by executive directors. They can take on call and shield the director of care a bit, because not all of those questions need to be answered by her every time. And so we talked about that and building up your management team with RI coordinators and assistant directors, but also to have strong leaders in your nurses so that they're running their home areas and your PSWs are looking after your residents and that kind of thing. We talked about how did we grow into leaders. So what works well in growing a leader, and we talked about, because we're a room, or we are a circle of leaders, what worked for us, and the mentorship was really was important. We talked about leadership courses and certificates and how we've seen it, and have they come back and changed their practice. And what really changes practice is that standalone, having that person to bounce some questions off when you need it. So we were talking about maybe a mentorship program, maybe something with OLTCA where, grow a leader, grow a nurse leader, taking some of our leaders that were a room full and offering up our experiencing and partnering with, a younger person who wants to be one. Stop eating our young. So, that's really important. When Angel was saying how incredibly important her mentor was, and our older nurses have that education and knowledge and experience, but they're sometimes very hard on those new nurses that are coming in. So how do we change that up, and how do we stop doing that? And as well, alignment with professional nurses associations, keeping the colleges and universities in our homes, keeping new students coming through, that kind of thing. Definitely what resonated was the mentorship part of the NADANA and RNAO, and having that professional body to support and represent us, having a collective voice. And some concrete steps, we really did talk about the mentorship program, or building a community of practice, and this is a great start, this room. And we really did, we did come back to the role. Like, is the role, we need to look at that. Is it enough to have one person doing that? Is that even possible? So really having, we talked about having an analysis of the cost of retention, because you're in it for 2 years and you're burnt out and you leave, and that knowledge, like keeping that knowledge in your home and keeping the person who's doing it, that they can continue to do it and do it well, is really important. I think that's about it.
Good job. Great, thank you. I'm going to take your notes, so we'll add it in a minute. Great. All right, and last but not least, well, can I give you the mic, and you can just, if you want to say nothing, or you want to... there has been a lot said, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about same kind of support systems that the other groups have. So nurse consultants, other consultant teams, nurse manager positions. The whole team is a support system, I think, and can be pharmacy consultant, peers, administrators, those types of things. What works well, providing education for sure. Promoting through colleges and universities is one of the things that I think has been hugely beneficial. One of us talked about promoting in the GNC certifications, so starting up those groups and making those available to your staff. You can do that for free through D'Souza. Good mentoring programs are key. Giving them time to orientate, closed doors, those types of things. Sharing specialties between homes. So if you're a bigger corporation, opportunities to chair meetings, fill in opportunities as DOCs, and so that you're actually growing in-house and you've got that strategy in place to do that. What resonates, fantastic presentations. We all said the same thing about that. Getting together in this type of environment was extremely beneficial. Opportunity with change. We think that there is lots of opportunity to make change. So, and then lastly, we had what concrete steps. So just being more visible, making it more attractive. Again, going back to colleges, universities. How do we make it sexy? Long-term care versus ER and that kind of thing.
That's 7%.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, 7%.
We talked about getting together, GEM nurses, or bringing other people to the table so they understand what we actually do in long-term care. So that was a really good idea. And definitely the NGG, continuing with those strategies, has been hugely beneficial in my home personally. So that's definitely some benefits that we had.
And to think she said she had nothing to say. Hello. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Sarah. Great job. Let's get them around too.
Only because I've been sitting at some of the tables where they're talking about the usefulness of the NGG, and I can tell you that the ministry knows the NGG is very well appreciated by all the sectors, and particularly long-term care. So your message has gotten to that level.
Okay. Everybody knows what NGG is? Good? Okay. Well, this has been very, very, very interesting. Your feet. It is. It's hard for me to sort of just put that adjective at the end of that very, very, because something is not immediately jumping into my mind, and that's a bit unusual. I'm not usually at a loss for words, but you actually have really given us a sense that there's an interest to have more conversation somehow. Maybe even a show of hands. Is that agreed upon? Is there more conversation that's needed somehow? Okay. We didn't come to the room today with all the answers, so we really came to get some insights from you, a little bit of a litmus test, if you will, of, what your needs were, what kind of supports you did have, learn from external agencies and organizations that can actually contribute to maybe some of those solutions. I would think that on behalf of the Ontario Long-Term Care Association and the Quality Committee, what we want to do now is just do a bit of reflection on that as well. So don't expect tomorrow the chapter starts and here we go, Bob's your uncle, and your problems go away. This is a journey, one step at a time. So we'll take the information back. We have your email contact information because we floated that document. Are you comfortable that we put you into a little bit of a group, if you will? Would you be able to say part of us as we try to have this conversation together? We're not over-promising anything. We're not going to under-deliver. We will put the name into the group, if you will, and we'll see where that conversation continues to take us. At any time, this is about shared leadership. At any time, if there's somebody out here in this room today or others beside us, around us, that want to contribute to the conversation or step up or play a different role, please, by all means. This was just one conversation. There's not a structure in place. Reach out, connect, and maybe even by just that email group alone, we can, find ways to advance the work that we all love and we all are doing so well at. So thank you for your interest in coming to something that was somewhat obscure, and thank you for your travel of miles and hours, 2 hours sleep to get here because of delayed flights, and Angel, everything that you brought to the meeting, and tears included. And Sarah, for stepping up again last minute, saying, yes, we'll be there, we're here, more than ever, her life calling, right, to move the voice of the nurse leader. And for each and every one of you, for what you do every day. We're there with you, sometimes directly being a director of care, other times a little bit further removed, but always there in spirit. Have a great afternoon. Happy Valentine's Day. Travel safely.